I was hoping that maybe I wouldn't have to extend the fenders, but I definitely will have to extend the fenders. We're looking at least a 2-inch poke out there. That's fine. That wheel looks sick. Doesn't it, Trooper? Doesn't it look sick? Oh yeah. Got my first layer of foam on. You can see, there's a wheel. But the top of the fender kind of falls away, so I'm gonna add more to about right here. Then it'll all be flat. I guess I didn't add this part, but I added more foam, and it takes 24 hours to cure. So to put on one layer and then another, that's 48 hours. It's a long time. And normally this foam is used to fill holes or little gaps in the wall, so you're not really concerned with that cure time. You send it and then the home lives on for 30 years. Anyway, I used the Sawzall to cut the stuff, and that was super effective to do the job. I wouldn't use any other tool, even though it looks kind of dangerous. It was fine. So I've definitely built up enough foam to get past the wheel. It's plenty. So I'm going to trim it down here, make it all straight, and see how much I want to go. There's definitely a shape that I like here, but I think it's too far out. The fenders are coming along. I coated them all with Bondo. I was helping making a corner with that. Something that I'm looking at, as you can see down the body line of the car, that the bottom end right here is a little bit out too far. So I'm going to sand that down. This, I think I got that line pretty well. The bevel is still a little bit out too much here. Yeah. Just a little bit too much there. Dragging the shape of the car down to the fender has been it's really difficult, actually. Kind of shocked. Oh, you know what? I was wrong about this. You can, okay, that's better. You can see it. It's right at the top there. Yeah, my bad. Anyway, and then I'm kind of dragging this out a little bit. You know, it'd be kind of cool if I put a vent right there, like a little cut. I like how that's going. That side over here, it's hard to tell which side is bigger and which side is not, because they're not all sanded down. But I think currently this gap is a little bit bigger. And the hardest thing is getting Bondo to stick up under here. Let's see. And the critical thing is you want to be just square in line, right? And you can see how it's all falling away. Like, see this one? That's where the fender is, and all of this edge needs to come down to meet that. So it's like that all the way. Then I'm ending right here at the body line, so it'll be nice and smooth. I'm digging out little pockets of foam, because when you try to fill them with Bondo, you just sand back to the foam. So you got to dig it out and then put Bondo in there. I got the car lowered. This is what we're looking at. I don't want a giant fender. It's hard enough to hide it. The fact that it's getting wider by 2 3/4 inches. Or no, it'd be actually just 2. But anyway. And then I've got it all marked out. So I measured from this tip to here, which I kind of approximated with center, and then all these numbers are how far the fender is out. That way I can match it to the other side. I did the measuring, and this is 1/4 inch shorter than it is out here. And I like this side better than that side because it's clearly falling away right in the tip there. So I'm going to add some back, about 1/4 inch. That'll be beautiful. I like how this squared off face looks, so I made a piece of paper that lines up all the way. Then I'm gonna hold it up to here. I can already tell that that's way too thick, but I know I had to make it thicker there, so not really surprised. And I'll mark it off and sand it away. Got it all marked up. A lot to take down. Check it out. This is about the final product. Just needs some filling and to not die over the things I'm tripping over. It's looking really good. I got all the foam dug out. Not all the foam, that's not what I mean. But when you're trying to sand and the foam is falling away as you push on it, it really makes it hard to get it flat. I learned that from the past, so just dig out the top layer, that way you can put Bondo over it, and then it'll be beautiful. See, like, you can push those in just a little bit. Yeah, that's what happens. And then as you're trying to sand it, you'll push it in and then it won't be flat anymore. So that's the whole point of that. I've got the fender in guide coat, and I also have to do a curve under here, so I made a sanding block. It's definitely a little too steep of a radius. I overestimated that, but I'm gonna see if I can get it to still sand flat. The wheel is on the ground with no tire. It's gonna be so sick. Oh yeah, it's gonna be, that tire's gonna be like right here. It's gonna be perfect. You can see how much closer in the stock wheel is. Since I got my fender shape kind of figured out, something I was watching with steel panel making is you can put a piece of paper on a fender, right? And you just start all these little pinches, you cut them out and overlap them like that. And you can eventually follow the contour of the fender, and then you just flip it over because it's flexible, put it on the other side, and now you have a great template to make your fender. I got the fender all paper taped up. That took at least an hour, which is ridiculous. And I have a bunch of the tapes cured, like physically to the fender, not within the paper itself. So I'll see what happens when I pull it off. There's another method which requires a lot more tape, where you just run a line of tape down, run a line of tape down, do this all the way down, and then eventually you go across, then you go down again, then you go across. And when you just keep a nice contour on the fender, then all you have to do is pull off the tape. But that obviously requires a lot of tape, and I don't have a lot of tape right now because I don't want to go to the store. We'll see what happens. Since I'm going to make the hood and fenders and bumper all one piece, I'm blending the line right there. Still working on this side. And the other thing that the paper's telling me is I need a lot more Bondo here, all on this section. I need to build the fender out. And I guess I can see that from this angle. It's like a little bit flatter right there. Look at this. The fender's like basically built, but every time I fill a hole that's protruding because there's foam underneath it, I find something else. So much stuff to fill. I'm kind of tired of filling. So I did a skim coat. You can see like right here. I think I'm going to apply that to the rest of the fender. It's kind of shaped the way that I want it to. So I'm at that point. Plus I have tiny little pinholes I need to fill. And the skim coat's really good at that. This is a fine, how do you say it? A fine grain Bondo. So you're not really going to get a whole lot of like air bubbles or anything like that, or inconsistencies because of the grain size. So it'll look good. It'll look good. I thought I was at a point where I could wet sand, so I proceeded to wet sand. It's okay, you know. The nice thing about wet sanding is it's like a dual grit, because you have the grit of your sanding block, which I was using 180, and then the mud actually makes a grit too. What that means when you have those two types of grit is the 180 is knocking down the top, but you're kind of floating on that lighter grit of mud, so you're not taking off any low spots. You can really knock down a lot of highs and lows. You can get it pretty flat. But that didn't work. I was about to primer the fender, but I ran my hand over it, and I couldn't stand it. I had to guide coat it again. Like you can see all the low spots. The low spots obviously have black in them. This is obvious. This is the concern. This is the concern right there. Not so much there, but yeah, you can see where it's low. Sorry, Trooper, I just sprayed that on your nose. It's a lot better though. It's a lot better. It's a little bit of a low spot right there. Work that out. But it will show with shiny paint. It will show. So it's important to get it out now. I did some quick little finger testing, and this stuff is not even close to cured, and I accidentally peeled some away, so I added some primer back, and I'll sand that later. But anyway, what I'm getting at is I can't really work any further on this. So that's the end of this section. Next section of the video series, I'll be sanding this really flat. There's a little bit of a spot right there where it kind of goes like that. I'll be getting rid of that, and it'll be beautiful, and then I'll make a mold. Oh my gosh. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.